everyone, and welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today we got a very special guest, Rich of the Faces for Radio podcast. And today we'll be discussing the Blue Dahlia from 1946. So with that, Rich, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up, everyone? I'm Rich from Faces for Radio. I'm one half of the Faces for Radio. You can find me on YouTube at Faces for Radio. You can find me on Instagram at Faces for Radio. And that's it at Faces for Radio, I think. Yeah, it's the only thing.
Pretty sure, yeah.
I just have to think. Well, my other half is David, the 4K Lowdown. So if everybody could do me a huge favor, if you could keep praying for him, because he's battling stage 4 lung cancer. If you could hit the GoFundMe, Harrison's going to put it in the link. You can find it on my Instagram page. Just go there if you can, donate, because he has a lot of medical bills. And of course, he can't work. So I just need the Blu-ray community, the movie community, whatever community you're part of, to just continue praying for David and continue to donate if you can.
Absolutely. And like you said, it'll be down below in the link. So make sure to donate, guys. And not just the one time, but kind of consistently, because it's a pretty serious, pretty consistent thing. So we love our friend David. So make sure to do that for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's the one that kind of dragged me into this, man. Yeah. So
yeah, it's his fault.
It is all his fault. We blame David.
Well, cool. Well, before we get started, why don't you kind of talk a little bit about your guys' channel, the Faces for Radio?
Oh, yeah. The Faces for Radio channel. Again, it's me and David, or David and I, because it's David's channel. He's the one that came up with it. He just invited me along for the ride. We review new movies that hit movie theaters, we hit streaming, and physical media. We score them a certain way, the lowdown way, and we give you our thoughts on them. That's what we do.
Nice. And I'll have links to all that down below, so make sure to follow them, guys. They got some great stuff. And even though David isn't available right now, they got some great videos you could check out from the past couple of years, actually. It's like 2 years now, yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. We're on a little break, because David's sick. But hopefully in a week or two, I will be starting movie news to get some more content on our channel.
Oh, awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, so with that, let's go ahead then and get started talking about the Blue Dahlia here.
Yeah, let's do.
And so what has been your experience with this film? Was this the first time you've ever even heard of it, seen it?
Yes.
I assume so.
Yes, this is the first time I heard of I thought maybe I read it wrong. I thought it was the Black Dahlia, something, because I remember hearing about that. Was that a serial killer or something?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, I don't know, but that's what stuck out. And then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, so I Googled it, and I was like, okay, I'll watch this. And then, boy, this was an adventure for me, because this is not my forte. Okay, this is not the type of movies I watch. I watch bad movies that are current.
Stuff on streaming, if you will.
Yeah, the streaming stuff. But this was like an eye-opener. I've never watched, I don't think I've watched a movie from the 40s that I remember. And wow, this was the opening scene, the opening set piece. You could definitely tell it's a movie from its time. Because you could get away with what they said, but it would stir controversy, I think. But yeah, it sucked me in. It was a great mystery. The acting was pretty good. The set pieces were pretty good. But I have a question, though.
Sure.
When we get to it, I'll just ask you now. When they're driving behind the car, and they have, like, I call it the green screen. I didn't realize they did that.
Yeah,
how did they do that? I mean, with the limited technology.
Well, back in those days, they had what was called rear projection. And literally, while they were filming the people in the cars that were parked, they had a screen behind the car that was playing a clip, essentially, of a road and moving down the street and stuff. So it's all in real time.
Oh, okay. I was like...
They didn't intersplice it later on. No, they filmed it right as it was happening.
And it looked, I won't say it looked real, but I mean, it looked convincing. I mean, it didn't look...
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, that shocked me a little bit. And then some of the, again, I don't know because I'm not familiar with this time of acting, is some of the dialect and the over the top delivery of lines was like,
Mhm.
But then I said, okay, but still good. But is that a common thing for this period of?
Definitely, especially for what were called B movies, the lower production value, the cheaper actors and whatnot. They kind of hammed it up to kind of spark interest and whatnot with it.
Oh, really?
Because you
Was
had
this
your eight.
considered?
This is a B movie for sure.
Oh, okay.
Because an A movie would be something like Gone with the Wind,
Oh,
like
okay.
super big, extravagant. And
Hmm.
then they had these tiny B movies that were like an hour, hour and a half long that were cheaper production, cheaper actors, basically pulp stories, if like comic books,
Oh, okay.
basically
Okay.
like that. So like your sci-fi's, horror movies, they would be considered B movies back then.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of reversed now. They're kind
Oh,
of the
yeah.
A features now.
Yeah, but no, this was a great movie to watch for me. It was very. It sucked me in. I put my phone down while I was watching. I didn't get distracted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, for me, I'm pretty familiar with Alan Ladd. He did another film that I think you would like called Appointment with Danger. And in that movie, he plays a post office investigator who's investigating a murder. It's actually pretty awesome. Like legit USPS postal guy who's investigating a
That's funny.
murder. And some of the murders are crazy. Like someone gets killed with baby shoes. I'll, I'll leave it at that. You got to check it out for yourself.
That's funny.
But so anyway, I'm familiar with him and Veronica Lake, but I've never seen this movie before. This is my first time as well.
Okay. Now, okay, don't because I don't know any of these actors' names whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is Veronica Lake?
She's the blonde.
Okay, I didn't know she was the wife that was killed. Okay.
She's the one that was the wife of the bartender guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you can tell she's blonde. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can tell she's blonde there. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? I appreciated the black and white. I really did.
Good. Yeah. Well, it's funny because back in these days, again, the B features they just use black and white because it was cheaper,
Yeah.
not not out of style or anything. Because nowadays it's more of a stylistic choice. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty interesting.
You
Back
don't
then it
see
was
that
like
very often.
$2. Well, cool. Well, let's get into our thoughts on the plot. So, what were your thoughts on the plot, and what score would you get it out of 5?
Okay. Okay. Well, first, let me pull up my notes. The plot. I'm going to go a little high on this because it sucks me in. I gave it a 4.5.
Nice.
I thought they laid the mystery there, because I was guessing who did it, and I thought I was right who did it, and I was wrong.
Me too.
But I like how I mean, I won't say they wrapped it up quickly, but I just like how it was strung out through the movie, and it left you guessing. It wasn't like paint by numbers, and it wasn't telegraphed. I don't know
Right.
if it was just like they didn't know who killed it when they wrote the movie, or like we're just gonna have this person do it. I don't know how they did that, but it
I don't
worked.
know. Yeah, no, I agree. It was really good.
And I like all the. I guess I'll wait for that for the cinematography. But yeah, this was great. The characters were great. I thought a little over the top at times.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this was pretty cool.
Nice. Well, I give it a 3.5 out of 5, and only because the actor who played the friend with the metal plate, who was kind of
Mm-hmm.
going crazy, he was a little too hammy for me, and
That's
we had
yeah.
too much time with him. I wanted more with Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake, the ones pictured on the right there. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted more of their dynamic and what they were doing. I don't care about his friends.
The one thing I was gonna give it a 5. I ain't gonna lie too. Is I thought it was kind of like, how did that girl know to pick him up in the rain
Mm-hmm.
on that road? That was the only thing that
Yeah, it's a
really.
little contrived. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only thing that kind of like, That's kind of cheesy.
Yeah. You'll kind of notice stuff like that too in old movies. Sometimes it's a little,
Excuse me.
I guess, Deus Ex Machina, where everything happens because the story says it needs to happen, essentially. Like, how on earth, driving through Malibu, I've driven through Malibu, there's no way you're going to find the guy that happens to be
Yeah, I thought that was
your
weird.
husband's lover. Like,
Yeah.
The odds of that are astronomical. But other than that, though, I thought it was a really compelling story, and like you were saying, a really good mystery that keeps you interested. And I love too. I was totally wrong on who the murderer was. I was totally convinced, and we could spoil it here. It's almost 80 years old. I was totally blown away. I really thought it was his friend because that's how it was set up. It's like, oh yeah, he totally did it, but no, it was the old guy. I was like, not seeing that coming at all. It was awesome.
And you don't have that in movie, a good mystery like that in movies very often anymore, because again, we are used to seeing trailers with everything in it, and you can kind of piece together who the killer is just from a trailer,
right?
You know, and I don't know how trailers were back then. Did they do trailers?
Not the same way we do them today. They were usually just to promote who the actors were, because back then people cared more about the actors. Nowadays it seems we care more about the characters, like, oh, the next Iron Man movie, the next Captain America movie. Back then it was like, ooh, see Veronica Lake and Alan Ladd in the Blue Dahlia. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I want to check them out. I like them. So
yeah, this was just, I think that's why I liked it. It was just, I was sucked in. There was no, just like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it had me, I guess, on the edge of my seat at times. I was like, okay. I was watching for clues, and there really wasn't any.
No.
You
kind of had to think outside the box.
Yeah. Yeah, I done this.
Well, good. All right, let's move on to the acting. What are your thoughts on the acting?
We kind of touched. Oh, I lost my thing here. I'm gonna go a 4 on this, just because of that, the metal plate guy and the jazz, because as soon as that jazz music, I thought that was too much. Okay, for me, but these two on screen, even her husband was really good.
Yeah,
and the
he's a good little slime ball.
Yeah, he was only just missing the little twist on his mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the old guy, the blackmailer, he did really good.
Yeah, no, I also gave it a 4. I really liked the dialogue and the delivery between the characters.
Yes,
especially between these two. They were my favorite overall. I just love that style of writing. You know, just I imagine these scripts were like 500 pages long just because of how much dialogue they fit in such a short amount of time. It's just so good and witty, and it's almost a different language, the way they talk to each other.
And there's one line I loved in this movie. It's when she picks him up in the rain, and he goes, "It's kind of not safe for you to pick up a stranger," or something like that. And she goes, "Well, everybody, my friends are a stranger when I first meet them," or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
I was like, that's a pretty good line. I really liked that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what was funny is, so I downloaded this movie off of the internet.
I rented it.
And it had Spanish subtitles on it the whole time. And I speak a little Spanish. So what I was noticing was they couldn't translate a lot of the witty dialogue and different metaphors and allegories they used. And I was kind of disappointed.
Oh, really?
The Spanish, they couldn't pick up on, like, you got a light or stuff like that. It would say, do you have a match? I was like, well that's lame.
Right.
Like, they don't have the cool speak that they had in the olden days. So I thought that was interesting.
Okay, now I have a question about the beginning of the movie, or not right at the beginning, when he comes home and she's like shocked. His wife is shocked that he's there. Now, is it normal for that period that for them to like amp up the aggressiveness of the male character, like right away to go to punching?
Yeah, it was pretty common.
Okay, I didn't know, because I was like, bro, calm down. You know, I didn't know if that was.
Yeah. And to be fair, though, too, I mean, I imagine he was a little hammered too, and that was pretty
That's
common back
true.
then.
That is true.
And I don't know, I'd be pretty pissed too if I walked in and my wife had a new boyfriend while I was gone serving in World
That
War
is
II.
true. Yeah, maybe I'm not. It was. I guess it's the. I won't say machismo, but the machoism. That's common, right, for this time period, right?
Especially with these kind of film noir, because like the good guys, they have a good moral compass, but they do kind of bad things, like they beat their wives,
Oh,
they get drunk, or they're kind of crazy, but they're still kind of a hero at the end of it, like the Clint Eastwood type movies,
okay,
like his westerns later on.
okay. Because this is just like this whole. You said this was noir. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, film noir. Uh-huh.
Okay. What's the definition of a noir film? I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of people also call them detective or mystery films. They're ones where I don't know if you've seen Double Indemnity or anything like
Mhm.
that. Basically, it's where the main characters they either have like an evil plot, like an example of Double Indemnity, where uh, the wife, a wife, works with another guy to plan the murder of her husband, and they're working together to kill her husband through like an insurance fraud policy where if he dies in a train crash, she could get all of the insurance money. So basically, it's a dark story, not quite horror, but more like crime or detective type thing. And then there's other heroes in it who try to solve the case or try to figure out what's really going on. Um, Another example, basically, Batman is film noir, especially the original
Oh,
storylines.
okay.
He would be considered that, especially the older ones. Um, just the detective and kind of morally ambiguous hero storyline. That's very film noir.
Okay. Yes, I didn't know what that meant. Thank you
Yeah,
for clearing that up.
sure, yeah. But it's one of my favorite genres of film because it's not. I mean, you can't really call it a genre like the western because you have way wackier different plot lines. Like I was mentioning, the postal inspector investigating murder. That one's technically a noir too, but he's not necessarily a cop. He's just a postal worker, you know.
Which is kind
So,
of funny.
yeah, or other ones where it's like a plane pilot who's investigating. Usually a murder or something they're trying to resolve, but
Okay.
yeah, it gets thrown around a lot nowadays. Like especially when the new Blade Runner came out, that's kind of a neo noir or cyber noir. Some people call it.
Yeah, that lost me. I think I heard that, and I didn't know what that meant, so I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the modern because the modern stuff they just focus on the bad character aspect. They forget the whole point of it is even though the main character does bad things, at the end of the day he's still a hero and he still solves the crime or he still at the end of the day gets the girl or figures it out. There's still a light message at the end of it, even though the plot line is pretty dark.
See, I wonder because there's a Spider-Man noir. Now that you say that, coming out
Yeah,
on Amazon MGM. I wonder how that's going to work.
yeah. I'd be curious too because I've never read those comics, but I
I
like
didn't
Nicolas
either.
Cage in the movie.
Yeah, I did too. So hopefully, it's pretty good.
I hope they keep up with it because I think it'd be really cool if they really delve into that style. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, it works really well in this film.
Absolutely. All right. Um, but like you, I didn't really like the character who has the metal plate in his head. He just got a little too weird and
Hmm.
crazy by the end of it. I was like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like these two a lot.
Yeah.
Veronica Lake and Ellen
They had
Red.
great chemistry on screen.
Yeah, they actually did like 3 or 4 movies together overall. So I want to keep seeing more with them.
Yeah, I would be interested. I think I would watch something else with those two together.
Yeah. Well, I think Kino Lorber. Yeah, Kino Lorber is the one who released the Blu-ray, the one you got, right?
Oh, I thought it was Shout Factory. Maybe I was
Maybe
wrong.
Factory. One of those two.
Yeah, I think
Yeah. Like I got to pick up that Blu-ray now too.
it was 17.99.
That's not bad.
No, I didn't think so either. I was watching it. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to buy this because I really liked it. And I even sent you a message. I was like, I gotta tell Harrison that. Look what he's making me do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is to make rich like old movies.
You're 2 for 2, man. You did 12 Angry Men and this one.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's move on to directing. What are your thoughts on directing?
I think I gave this. I gave it a 4. Again, because I think he should have reined in that plate guy.
Yeah.
I think if the director said dial it down a little bit, wouldn't you think the director would be like, "Hey, we don't need it over the top. We just need you to be a little subtle." But
right.
Yeah, but the way he got the 2 leads and the chemistry for them, I think he did a good job.
Nice. I also gave it a 4. I love the atmosphere he creates, because if you really think about it, there's not a whole lot that actually physically happens. Most of the movie is dialogue.
Yep.
And just the way they interact, the way the camera angles are, the atmosphere of the whole story really captivates you. And I think he did a great job with really set the stage. And very efficient filmmaking.
Yeah. It's not a long movie at all.
No.
No.
Like hour 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we have good movies that are really short again?
Yeah. I mean, you get 3 acts in the movie, and there's no. Again, I keep going back to the plate guy. There's no wasted, except for him, screen time. The story just chugs along.
No, definitely. Especially when I keep bringing it up, but Veronica Lake and Alan Ladd together, like their scenes, they really flow very well. They really work very well. You could tell they really liked working together. So I think, I don't know if the actor or a director picked them, but whoever did, they did a great job of pairing them for this movie.
And that's the director, I take it, right?
Yes, this is George Marshall was his name.
How many movies has he?
Oh, well, that's a good question. He probably made a lot of those guys back then for like the B movies. They did like 100, 200 movies.
Wow. Hollywood was different back then.
So different. Well, not really, though, because nowadays it seems there's a lot of movies being made, but just not a lot of good movies.
Yeah.
Because like streaming has kind of taken the place of like straight to DVD and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree.
I was right, 117.
Wow.
And this is his 3rd most famous film after How the West Was Won and Destiny Rides Again.
I've heard of How the West Was Won.
Yeah, it's a Civil War movie.
Yeah.
I need to watch this one. This looks good. But yeah, no, I really liked what he did here too. I think he did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he did too.
All right. Let's move on to cinematography and special effects.
Oh wow. I gave this a 4.5. Just because, like I said earlier about the green screen, whatever you called it.
Rear projection. Yeah.
I like that. I liked the when they're walking, he's walking in the rain. It looks great. That party scene from where I think the angle is he's coming in she sees him in the door, and just the way it was kind of angled, I like that. And then just different set pieces throughout the hotel, the police station. That's why I give it a 4.5, right? Yeah, 4.5.
Nice. Well, I gave it a 3, and that's only because I can't decide if it's just because I've seen so many movies like this that it's hard for me to notice it anymore. But to me, it seemed pretty standard. The only things that really stood out to me overall with this movie was the acting. Camera work kind of seemed pretty standard for me, at least for film noir and whatnot. I did like the set pieces they had, like in the car and the bungalow and all that. That was good. But you could definitely tell this was a B picture because there's like 3 total real set pieces. which isn't really a knock against it because it is a cheaper made movie. But I don't know. There have been a few times. There were a few times where I could kind of tell, oh, this is a set piece. This isn't a real backdrop or anything like that. But you know,
So,
yeah.
so you think me like a virgin of this genre and this era of film? Is that what you think? That's why I was impressed with.
I think so, yeah. And that's not a bad thing because it is very different to what we're used to today.
I thought it looked great. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I thought it was a well put, visually looking film.
Yeah. Well, great.
How many of these movies do you think you've seen like this total? I'll just give a guesstimation.
Probably at least 100.
Wow. Wow. I've seen one.
And that's not counting the ones that I reviewed for the channel.
Right.
I've probably seen an additional 60 to that.
That's crazy.
But like I said, it could be just because I've seen so many of these that I didn't really notice it. But I think that's really cool that you notice those little things like that.
Yeah, I was impressed.
They totally missed them. Yeah.
The when they were driving in the car, like the rain. How did the rain looked believable? How did they get that to look that way in 1946? It was 46, right?
Yeah, 46.
How did they do that?
Well, I know a lot of the times, and we kind of still do it now, they have like a machine that just drops water, kind of like those emergency things in a building, like those emergency sprinklers.
Okay.
And they would just have like a super big one on the top of the stage above the lights so you couldn't see them. And then it would just pour down and they could kind of control the speed of it, how much of it, and whatnot.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know they could do that back then. See,
yeah,
I was impressed.
No, it was cool. And I always wonder too, you know, in a lot of modern movies, you could kind of tell when it's the actor driving a car when it isn't.
Yeah.
But a lot of these movies, you notice like the actor actually pulls up and then opens the door, and it's like, oh, they're actually driving. They actually let them do that back then.
Yeah.
Just pretty crazy to think about. Maybe insurance wasn't really a thing back then, but
probably not.
At least not the way it is now.
Yeah, everything has to be insured.
Yeah. But I guess these were the B movies, so like, give them $40. You know?
I would have never known this was a B movie. I would have never known.
Oh, I'll have to introduce you to Z movies. They're even worse. Like a Plan 9 from Outer Space. Oof. That's a rough one. But anyway, all right, let's move on then to the music. What are your thoughts on the music?
Okay. I liked the jukebox music, the boom. Anytime that the jazz came on, I dug that. So I'm going to give that a 3.5.
Nice. I gave it a 3 just because to me, it's not like King Kong or Casablanca or those movies where I remember what the score is. For this, it seemed pretty generic, and again, not a knock to it, but when I want a film score in a movie, I want it to be memorable. Like I want what are called leitmotifs, where when you hear it, you know it's for a specific character or a specific reason.
Yeah.
Like in Star Wars or Gone with the Wind, right? So this doesn't have any of that. I make fun of it all the time, but I just imagine like a studio guy being like, "Hey, we need music in this scene. Let's try that one." You know, they just threw it into it. Nothing.
I could see that. Yeah.
And I'm sure people down below are like, "No, you don't understand. Victor Young here, the music director, he wrote that." I'm like, okay, fine, but I've never heard of him. So.
Yeah.
But. And that's the case with a lot of B movies, even like the Universal monster movies. I've been reviewing a lot of those. They kind of blend together to the point, like the Marvel movies nowadays, where I couldn't tell you the difference between Bride of Frankenstein score and the score of Ghost of Frankenstein. They just sound exactly the same to me.
It's probably on purpose too.
Probably. Yeah. But yeah, it was just okay for me.
Yeah, I dug the like when that guy got mad, I was like, oh, this movie, I dug it. I liked it. Made my foot shake a little bit.
There you go. I do like jazz music though. I think it just reminds me of this era so much. So I do agree with you there. That was good. All right. Let's move on to our total points.
Okay.
So what is your overall score?
Okay, let me add this up real quick. And see, I'm not the math guy. David is the math guy between us. Okay. I got 4. That is 16. I want to say 20.
Okay. So 4 out of 5 then.
Yeah.
Nice. And with that, would you recommend this movie?
Oh, heck yeah. I recommend it so much. I went out and bought it. The day I watched it, I ordered it. I was like, I got to have this. I think this is a movie worth seeing. Now, when David gets better and we're back, I might make him watch it.
Heck yeah. Yes.
I would like to review this movie and give it the lowdown score. Because this was a great mystery. I like mysteries. Hopefully I get to watch some more of these at some point. But yeah, man, this is a win for you. This is a win for me because it's in my collection now.
Nice. Well, my score is a 3.5 out of 5, but I still recommend this movie, especially if, like Rich here, you've never really watched film noir or just getting used to it. I think this is a good introduction to it.
I agree.
And then later on, you could watch the ones like Touch of Evil or The Third Man or what's another one? Sweet Smell of Success. Those are some of my favorite ones. This is a good intro one because it's not super over the top and crazy. It's kind of mellow and kind of an easy one to get into and watch. So
yeah, and like you said, it's very dialogue heavy.
Yeah, which surprisingly nowadays is something people don't like, right?
Yeah,
we want just all the visuals, but back then they didn't care about that. All they had was dialogue. Like when they couldn't make a set piece, they'd throw dialogue to supplement it.
I appreciate. I guess thinking about it, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I think we take today's movies for granted. Like we're always expecting some kind of spectacle.
Yeah.
When back then, it was the actors that sold the movie for you.
And just tell me a good story. And I thought this was a really good story.
Yeah. And so many of them were either based on a book or an original idea. Like not many were IPs like today, really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a lost art.
It really is because we need more original. I mean, they are making original, but no one goes to see them. Yeah.
Right. I think that's the problem is there's no unifying thing. Like back in these days, everybody went to the movies, right? It was just the one place you could watch them. Now there's a million places you could watch movies. Yeah. There's no unifying thing anymore. Even television, everybody has different channels. And so, but we recommend this one.
Yes.
I think it's Kino Lorber. Somebody made it on Blu-ray, so pick it up.
Yeah, it's worth having in your collection.
And you got it on Amazon then, right?
Yeah, I bought it on Amazon.
Okay. Well, I'll have a link to that, so make sure to purchase it, guys. Not a sponsor, but just pick it up.
Why not? Yeah, it'd be great on your shelf when you want a good movie to watch.
Yeah. Because the plot itself, if you really think about it, isn't that complex, isn't that crazy at all. It's pretty simple plot, but that's what's great about it is because the actors kind of make it even better and bring it to a whole different level.
These other characters, okay, well maybe it's that one, and yeah, it's great storytelling.
Yeah. All right. So those are our thoughts on the film. And thanks again for coming on, Rich. It was a blast.
Well, thank you for having me, man. You're 2 for 2. You got me with this and 12 Angry Men. So thank you for taking the time to ask me to come on your show.
Absolutely. And why don't you go ahead and plug your channel again?
I'm one half of the Faces for Radio, as it says on screen. You can find us at Faces for Radio on YouTube. You can find us Faces for Radio on Instagram. And you can find me on Instagram at Turnerfan77, where I post the movies I watch, A little bit of comic reviews. I've been starting to do that a little bit.
Yeah, I've been following that too.
I thought I'd give that a try because I read comics every week, so why not just give my thoughts? But yeah, that's what I do. I post movies, a little bit of baseball every now and then, but my Cardinals suck, so it's not even worth it. No, but movies and comic books, that's what I do.
Nice. And make sure again, guys, to follow them. Like he said, all the links will be down below.
Yeah.
And again, make sure to donate to our friend David.
Yeah.
He's a really great guy and can really use our help and support.
Yeah. Just keep praying for him so he can beat this cancer. Cancer sucks.
Yeah.
But he's a fighter. He's a former professional wrestler. So
yeah, he's tough.
Yeah, he is.
Yep. All right. Well, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Really Old Movies. And each week I discuss new films from the classic Hollywood era. You could also follow me on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, all those places where new podcasts are released. Video versions on Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And then once a week I do live streams where I talk about old movies, old cartoons, and play some video games. Awesome. And so with that, this has been Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. This is my guest, Rich. Take care, everyone.
God bless, guys.